remark about social justice, and how and socialists and communists and progressives and liberals, and how all of them would be willing to spend millions to billions so they can steal trillions from other people so they can spend millions to help people in need. You know, it amazes me. They will sit there and trot out some poor child who lost his mother, etc., etc., etc. That somebody died, somebody who had this, didn't get that treatment, couldn't afford this, couldn't afford that, suffering this, suffering that. And they always trot them out as if some kind of great, tug at your heartstrings, and etc. But they won't open their own wallets to help that person. They'll be more than happy to trot them out for a news conference to show you how terribly they suffered, and etc. All in the name of trying to push through a law that will take more money from everyone else so the government can create a program to help people like this. But the government program will have all sorts of rules and regulations and difficulties in getting into it and accessing it and restrictions on care that will result in exactly the same situation happening again. You know, if they spent the millions to billions that they're spending to take the taxpayers' money and simply spent it on buying care for people, setting a aid group up to help people who are unable to get help from what government programs exist today and what other private groups help today to fill in the gaps, these people wouldn't have died, wouldn't suffer, etc. They wouldn't be the victims they are today. But that wouldn't serve their ultimate goal, which is to put you under the government's control and them at the head of the government. They don't really want to help people. The victims they pull out are only props to sell their argument. But if they really wanted to help people, all the money they spent on advertising and promotion could easily be spent on helping those individuals. They spend hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars promoting some goals of theirs. And if they put that money in the bank and just simply started a fund to help people and advertise this fund, I guarantee you wouldn't have as many of these stories. So do they really care about those suffering individuals? Of course not. If they did, they open their own pockets. Liberals, socialists, communists, progressives, all will not open their wallets to help other individuals. When it comes to taxes, they're the first to cheat. They don't want to spend their money. They find every loophole in the book to support themselves. They're least giving of all the groups. They donate the least amount of charity. They give the least amount of their time to help people. But they're out there bringing up some poor victim of the evil system because they couldn't get health care. And they'll spend $1 million advertising this poor victim. But they would have never spent the money to help the person get well. Now, conservatives, conservative Christians, Tea Party people, we donate our time. We donate our money. We set up help groups. We're out there. When we see a victim or somebody who's suffering, we don't sit there and go, he's a victim of someone else, I'm going to start this multi-million-dollar campaign to attack government or to create a major program in the government. We sit there and actually help them. You know? So that we don't have someone to trot out in front of the people and say, look, his mommy died. You've got to ban toaster ovens because his mommy got electrocuted by one and died. You know, or you have to pass health care because his mommy didn't go to Medicaid or Medicare or any of the state programs, and therefore, and her grandmom didn't help, and the union didn't help, and the Democratic Party didn't help her, but she's died because of all that lack of help. Therefore, we have to have universal health care. You know, at some point, people gotta see past the props and realizing that these guys are just being used. used and thrown away by politicians. If you don't believe me, look at the anti-war movement. Cindy Sheehan was beloved by the media. And they went out there and just oozed over all over her. And second their guy got in office, they stopped talking about her. She disappeared. Her calls evaporated overnight. Did anything change? No. Same thing with healthcare. Do you really think that little boy is going to be treated any better? Any of their victims they trot out there are going to be helped in the end by them? No. The second they get what they want, they're going to forget these people exist. They're props. That's all. Nothing more. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good day. And as a side note, I really think that's despicable to use people that way and throw them away that way and not care about them. And just pretend to care about them just so you can forward your political goals. I mean, Obama's whole White House conference with the Republicans, he spent, every Democrat spent every time he went to a mic was going to bring up some other traumatic story of somebody who suffered so much. If you suffer, help them instead of complaining about how they suffered. Anyways, thank you very much. Have yourself a good day and God bless.